What a star he was for the Lakers here at Staples Center for so many years. And for Lakers fans, there is one highlight that really stands out.
Derek Fisher had everything an NBA player could dream of. 5 championship rings, the respect of teammates, and a reputation as one of basketball's most trusted leaders. It looked like nothing could tarnish his legacy. But after retirement, a series of controversial decisions changed everything. Today, many believe his days in the NBA are behind him for good. So, what happened? And how did one of the NBA's most respected veterans end up here? Let's take a closer look. The player everyone respected. Long before the headlines and controversy, Derek Fisher had already established himself as one of the NBA's most respected veterans. Throughout his 18 seasons in the NBA, he became one of the most reliable role players in the league. His biggest success came with the Los Angeles Lakers, where he helped the team win 5 NBA championships alongside Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. Fans remember him for unforgettable playoff moments, including several clutch shots that helped define championship runs. Inside the locker room, teammates viewed him as someone who always put the team first. That reputation opened another door after retirement. In 2014, the New York Knicks made a surprising decision by hiring Fisher as their new head coach. Despite having no previous coaching experience, the organization believed his championship pedigree and leadership skills would naturally translate to the sidelines. But coaching turned out to be a completely different challenge. The Knicks struggled to find consistency, and questions about Fisher's coaching style quickly surfaced. As losses piled up, so did criticism from fans and the media. Suddenly, the respected veteran who always seemed to have the answers was facing doubts about whether he belonged on an NBA bench at all. Behind the scenes, another decision was about to create a controversy that would overshadow everything happening on the court. And once that story became public, Derek Fisher's reputation would never be viewed the same way again. The controversy that changed everything. In 2015, Fisher's personal life suddenly became national sports news. Reports revealed that he had started dating Gloria Govan, the former wife of his ex-teammate, Matt Barnes. But because Fisher and Barnes had shared years together in the NBA, many people viewed the situation through the lens of loyalty and friendship. The story exploded after Barnes confronted Fisher during an incident at Govan's home in California, instantly becoming one of the NBA's biggest off-court stories. Sports media focused on his personal life, adding even more pressure to an already struggling Knicks season. Fisher later maintained that the relationship had nothing to do with his coaching situation, but public perception was already shifting. Just months later, in February 2016, the New York Knicks fired him after less than 2 seasons as head coach. Poor results on the court certainly played a role, but many believe the non-stop off-court distractions made an already difficult situation even harder to manage. For the first time in his basketball career, Derek Fisher wasn't being recognized for what he accomplished. He was being remembered for controversy. Many assumed the worst was finally behind him, but they were wrong. Less than 2 years later, one late-night decision would create an even bigger headline and push Fisher's reputation to its lowest point yet. When everything fell apart, the New York Knicks had fired him before he could even complete 2 full seasons, ending what was supposed to be the next chapter of his basketball journey. For someone who had spent nearly 2 decades earning respect around the league, it was a disappointing setback. In June 2017, Fisher was involved in a serious car accident on a Los Angeles freeway while driving with Gloria Govan as a passenger. According to authorities, his SUV struck a guardrail and overturned. Fortunately, both Fisher and Govan escaped without life-threatening injuries, and no other drivers were seriously hurt. Police arrested Fisher on suspicion of driving under the influence, and the incident immediately dominated sports headlines. It wasn't just another celebrity controversy. It was a criminal case involving a former NBA champion who had built his reputation on leadership and responsibility. Fisher later entered a no-contest plea to the DUI charge, bringing the legal case to a close. But while the court proceedings eventually ended, The damage to his public image was much harder to repair, coming after the controversy surrounding his personal life and the collapse of his coaching career. The DUI became another chapter in a growing list of setbacks. Instead of seeing Fisher as the dependable veteran who had helped lead championship teams, people increasingly associated his name with poor judgment and controversy. In today's world, stories like these don't simply disappear. Social media kept the story alive, making it difficult for Fisher to move beyond the incident. The reputation he had spent years building was beginning to fade, replaced by a very different public image. And as the headlines continued, another question started to emerge. Could Derek Fisher ever regain the trust that once came so naturally? Can a legacy survive controversy? There's no debating what he accomplished as a player. 5 NBA championships, nearly 2 decades in the league, countless playoff moments that helped shape one of basketball's greatest dynasties. Those achievements will always remain part of NBA history. But legacies are rarely defined by statistics alone. The years following Fisher's retirement added another layer to his story, one filled with coaching struggles, public controversy, and legal trouble. Instead of smoothly transitioning into the next stage of his career, he found himself fighting to protect the reputation he had worked so hard to build. Since then, Fisher has stayed connected to basketball, coaching at the high school level, and continuing to mentor younger players. It's a much different stage than the NBA arenas where he once played, but it shows he hasn't completely walked away from the game. For some fans, Fisher's championships and clutch performances will always outweigh the controversies that followed. For others, the events after retirement permanently changed how they'll remember him. It's about how quickly public perception can change, and how difficult it can be to rebuild trust once it's been lost. But before deciding how Derek Fisher should ultimately be remembered, there's one final piece of the story worth considering: the legacy he left behind. By this point, many fans believed Derek Fisher's place in the NBA was gone for good. Whether that judgment was fair or not, his reputation had changed in ways few could have imagined during his championship years. At his peak, Fisher represented everything teams wanted in a veteran player. He was dependable, composed under pressure, and willing to do whatever it took to help his team win. Those qualities helped him earn 5 NBA championships and the respect of teammates throughout the league. But retirement marked the beginning of a very different chapter. His coaching stint with the Knicks never lived up to expectations. His relationship with Gloria Govan became one of the NBA's most talked about off-court stories. Then came the DUI arrest, adding another setback to an already complicated public image. None of those events erased what he accomplished as a player. His championship rings, unforgettable playoff performances, and years of dedication remain part of NBA history. But they did change the conversation surrounding his legacy. Today, Derek Fisher continues to coach basketball, focusing on developing younger players at the high school level. While it's a long way from coaching under the bright lights of the NBA, it also shows that he hasn't completely walked away from the sport that shaped his life. Whether he'll ever receive another opportunity at the professional level is impossible to know. The NBA has seen many former players rebuild their careers after setbacks, but it has also shown that public trust can be incredibly difficult to regain once it's been damaged. It's the story of how every decision, both on and off the court, can shape the way people remember you. Success doesn't end when the final buzzer sounds. The choices made away from the spotlight can become just as significant as the ones made during the biggest games. In the end, Derek Fisher's career will probably always be remembered through 2 very different lenses. One highlights the player who won championships, delivered in clutch moments, and became one of the NBA's most respected veterans. The other remembers the coach whose career stalled, whose personal life dominated headlines, and whose off-court decisions complicated an otherwise remarkable basketball resume. Maybe the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Like many public figures, Derek Fisher's legacy isn't entirely defined by either his greatest victories or his biggest mistakes. Instead, it's shaped by both. A reminder that even the most accomplished careers can become far more complicated than anyone expected. Derek Fisher's story reminds us that championships can build a legacy, but the choices made off the court can redefine it. What do you think? Should he be remembered for his 5 NBA titles or the controversies that followed? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.